Hi, I'm somewhere else. So the final Metroid video for now will be of a few fan remakes of the first 3 Metroid games. Now I didn't beat all of the games because I wanted to get this video done in a pretty quickly, at least before the end of February. I know it's definitely going up in February, but shut up. I picked 3 that I found either on my own or through comments, and I will have links obviously in the description for all 3 because they're really good and you should support them. So go on. Do it. Now. You think I'm now? What? Now. Do it now. Metroid Planets asks the profound question, what if Metroid 1 was good? It has a few modes. The first one that I actually beat was pretty much just one-for-one the original game. There's another mode, Novus Planet I think it's called, and I didn't have time to beat this or even really scratch the surface because man, it is pretty much a complete reimagining of the first game with new areas, and it's huge. It's way bigger than I was expecting. The improvements are apparent immediately as you spawn with full health, thank fuck. You can't get hit through doors, and you have a map. I like how instead of showing you each area separately, it gives you a full map with the area separated by color. Just like the US. This is a more faithful remake than Zero Mission in the sense that it is pretty much exactly the same game. In Zebeth mode, the only real changes are the animations, which look a lot better, and the movement is just so much better. I was amazed by how much this fixes the first game. It's not perfect, you still can't shoot down or crouch, so some enemies are still bitches to fight, although I kinda get the point in how it would break the game a bit to be able to shoot through to get to crate instantly, for example. The dick-headed level design is still here, you still aren't actually told where to go, but just because it controls so much better, I almost got 100% item completion. Almost. You can switch beams on and off in the menu, meaning there's a point to getting wave beam, which I almost forgot about, so I had to run back and get it to show this off. In the first game, the idea of going all the way to Norfair from Brinstar was just... I would have reset the damn game. I would have stopped for that video. But here, just because the controls feel so good, not just better, but good, it was actually a lot of fun. It takes Metroid 1 from a game I tolerate to a game that I would recommend. The Novus Planet is a completely reimagined map for this game with new areas and enemies. It's pretty much an entirely new game, and from what I've played, it is pretty clever level design. Having to use Ice Beam to turn enemies into platforms with Kraid, although it can be kind of annoying because of the way these bead things move. It's still not perfect. I'm not a huge fan of how it starts. In pretty much every Metroid game, there's a simple enough opening area that should give it a good idea on where to go before the game opens up. But this starts with not small areas being immediately to your right and left, with you needing to go down one way for missiles, and then the other for Morph Ball, and then back to open the rest of the missile doors and get through the Morph Ball holes. That's what they're called now, Morph Ball holes. I didn't get lost, but at times it felt like things could have been a bit closer together. Though to be fair, it is possible that I missed something. I wasn't expecting anything near this big of an overhaul based on the description. This mode is a lot harder fundamentally, and I could see it getting frustrating in later areas. Some things carried over from the original game are still annoying, like I died to Kraid because the trip to his location took all my health, and it spawns you at the start of the area. It could be worse, but it's hard to go back to this after the pre-boss checkpoints of Dread. There are some new things, or more things. Both have randomizers that I didn't try, and strike mode, which starts you with all the items but you get no drops, which could be pretty interesting. There's a lot here I didn't really have time to try out again because I wanted to get this video done relatively quickly and not be too long because there are still 2 more games to play. But I highly recommend this. This is a really good fixing. It's not a remake, it's a fix of Metroid 1. And so if you were really hoping for a remake of Metroid 1 but just hate the idea of Kraid being really big, oh, you're in luck. Alright, this is the one that I bet most people were expecting. Probably the most popular Metroid fan game, another Metroid 2 remake. It asks the bold question, what if Metroid 2 was remade? but not like that one. This game is pretty much Metroid 2's Zero Mission. Unlike Samus Returns, which was practically a reimagining of the game, this controls pretty much just like Zero Mission with a few, it feels a little bit better, and they put it into Metroid 2, and the game looks better. The amount of like enjoyment I got from just being in an area and being like, holy shit, I recognize this. The game has great lighting, really good animations. It's by far the best game in this video. Let's start with the few things I don't like. First, being one-to-one does drag the game down in a few places, mainly the Metroid fights where you have these very small platforms over hazards. It's hard to dodge the Metroids, hit their undersides, and stay on the platforms, which makes dying feel inevitable. And lastly, there are no checkpoints. I understand the idea of being faithful to the original game, but fuck me man, checkpoints should be a standard at this point. There were some tense-ass moments where I was in the middle of nowhere, wondering if it was safer to go back to a save point that was far away, or just hope there was one in the next few rooms. Jesus, the flashes I had thinking of all the progress I would lose if I died, thank God it only happened a couple of times. But now for the stuff I liked. The rest of the game. The controls feels just as good, if not a little bit better than Zero Mission. The areas are amazingly designed. There are some new environments and areas to include some items that weren't in the original, like the speed booster. There are brand new bosses that are a lot of fun to fight. Shit, the door just locked me in. He's gonna get up, isn't he? Yeah, it's a nice reference, but it kinda loses its shock value after. Oh shit. The game lets you wall jump, which means you don't have to spider ball up walls at the slowest pace the game will let you go, and the space jump feels a little bit easier to use. The save stations refill you completely, replacing the individual refills. There's even a log of information that I didn't read because reading is for nerds. I want to kill Metroids with super missiles. Now, I didn't beat this one either, at least I didn't record me beating it. I have beaten it by the time I'm recording this, but I didn't record me getting to the end because I didn't want my whole experience to have that tingling in the back of my head that's like, oh, you should be taking notes, you should be trying to remember things to write about. But I ended up playing way more than I really thought I would just for the video, because it is just amazingly done. It's just really well done. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this one. Once I realized how much more, like, it's more than just Metroid 2 with Zero Mission controls and graphics. It's like Zero Mission in the sense that there's so much added, and I couldn't put the game down. I always had this thing in the back of my head. It's like, if you're a fan of Metroid, then you owe it to yourself to play this game. It is really good. Now, is it better than Samus Returns? Well, that's subjective. Do you prefer Samus Returns style of gameplay or the GBA games? Me personally, I prefer the GBA games, so I would say I'd prefer this better, and being able to play it on my computer makes it that tiny bit more it's easier to play, you know, if I don't feel like laying in bed with my 3DS. So I'll probably play this one more, but it really comes down to just which one do you like more. I could totally see someone preferring the melee counter, the touchscreen control. I don't know. What else is there in Samus Returns that I already forgot? No, I already forgot. So I guess this was technically better, but yeah, you should buy Samus Returns because its sales numbers tells them we want more Metroid. This is different as it's a ROM hack as opposed to a fan game. This asks the question, what if Super Metroid was Metroid Zero Mission? This hack turns Metroid Zero Mission into Super Metroid. If I really wanted to, I could end the review of it there, but let's give it its fair shot. I actually found out about this when I was looking for not reproduction cases. I was looking for cases for my N64 games just because they look a bit better on the shelf, and you know, they're easier to grab, and the labels, that's a big thing that the N64 didn't have for some reason. But yeah, I ended up I don't remember what site it was on, but I saw a reproduction cartridge for I don't think it was specifically called Super Metroid GBA Edition. I think it was called something like Super Metroid Zero Mission. Those sound important, but it piqued my interest as at the time I wasn't the Super Metroid fan that I am now, and I really liked Zero Mission. So it seemed like a great compromise. This is the one that I have the least to say about, but it's the one I've known about for the longest, so I wanted to just throw it in because why the hell not? It is just a Super Metroid remade in Zero Mission. It's a pretty interesting concept, especially if you don't like how floaty Super Metroid could be. Pretty much every area is faithfully remade, but the game can't be one-to-one using only Zero Mission. For one, there are no vertical doors, which is something I really never thought about. There's no Torizo fight, and pretty much none of the sequence breaks, at least the ones that were glitches or stuff like that. Spore Spawn is replaced with this guy. I imagine there's no chicken-legged Mother Brain. And yeah, I only bothered to get to Kraid, not because this isn't a well-made hack, but it's just that being Zero Mission removes damn near everything I like about Super Metroid. You can single wall jump, but there's no real arc. You kind of stick to the wall so you can't get around things, and you can't mock ball. It's a really cool concept, and it does sort of make me wonder how much of Metroid Dread could be made using Fusion as a base. I know that's really a lot more complicated. Super and Zero Mission have a whole lot in common, especially when compared to Dread and Fusion, but I think the idea is neat, so fuck you. This does, and I don't mean this as an insult. This is a very well made hack, but it does sort of make me realize how much I don't want a Super Metroid remake. Which is weird because every other of my favorite games I'd love to see remakes of. Devil May Cry 3, other video games that I've played before, totally. But, you know, with how much they would end up changing, and I know they'd keep some sequence breaks, like in Zero Mission had built-in sequence breaks, and there's even like a reference in Fusion, I think, if you do some Shine Spark trick, you'd get like some fancy text. But just knowing that so much of what I like about Super Metroid would be changed, you know, it sort of makes me realize that. Granted, if they were to do it in like as a Prime game, I think that would be cool. I like the Prime games, so like I don't really see how they could, I don't know why they would do it like that, but I also don't really see how they could fuck it up. I mean, they could. Never put it past them. They could always fuck it up. But I think that I would enjoy to see that a Prime take on Super Metroid. I think that'd be interesting. Check out this hack if you want to play Super Metroid but don't like the physics for some reason, or if you're curious. Like I said, it's well made. I just have no reason to want to play anymore. If I want to play Zero Mission, then I'll play Zero Mission. These were honestly a lot better than I thought they were going to be, and my expectations were not low. AM2R is really good. It's definitely going into my rotation for whenever I play these games again. You know, if I feel like Metroid, that's definitely it's going to be in my mind. Same thing with Metroid Planets, as it's going to have completely replaced the original Metroid, and I can't wait to go back into Novus mode, try more of that out. And Super Metroid GBA is, well, it's really cool. I don't know if I'll ever finish it or play it again, but it's really cool. With that being said, that's it for Metroid for now. The next marathons will be a double feature alternating between series, and they'll start maybe the next video. Maybe I'll do a few one-offs if I'm like, I feel like talking about this game but don't feel like doing the whole series. We'll see. But I'll tell you the first marathon for now. The next review that's going to be part of a marathon is going to be Sonic Adventure. Yes, I wore this, I got this for Christmas. I did not buy this hat, but it's going to be Sonic Adventure as the first review, sort of 3D Sonic games. You'll see what I mean by sort of. It's not going to be the next video, but you'll see. It'll be important. Until then, I hope you enjoyed watching this. Go watch my other reviews. If it's your birthday, then happy birthday, and I will never be in this room again.